From the Everglades to New Orleans, Galveston, and in between.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to AC23, the radio show / podcast of the Arts Council of Greater Baton Rouge. I'm your host, Chancellor Xero Skidmore. Our producer is Jeremy Porcine. I'm taping this week's show from my lovely cubicle here at the Arts Council. I'm the only one in the building, so don't worry. I'll be right back to my noisy home after this, but I could not do this in a home with a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. During this quarantine, the Arts Council has been hard at work making resources available, posting useful information about relief funds and SBA loans. We've been posting videos about arts workshops. We've been helping to organize a gown sewing initiative for the nurses at BR General. We're organizing an online fundraising concert as well. We have the Chalk Your Walk campaign going on with Facebook moms, and we're currently trying to get all of you to join us in thanking our healthcare workers. So the way you can be a part of that, it's a beautiful expression of gratitude. All you have to do is tape a blue heart on the inside of your window for our healthcare workers to see. Hopefully they'll see it on their way to and from work, and know that we are feeling very gracious about what they're doing for us. You can go to our website, or you can and print one out, or you can make one of your own. A great project for the kids. Don't forget to take a pic of it and post it with the hashtag HeartsFromHomeBR. And I'd like to take a moment to thank last week's guest, Dr. Ronnie Whitfield, also Dr. Lakeisha Lee, Dr. Yushin Lee, Patrice Stewart, Lois Doyle, Darian Smith, and Todd Atkins, some of my friends who are in the medical field, doctors, nurses, EMTs, therapists, all of you guys. Thank you for the lives you're saving. For more information on the Hearts from Home Challenge and other creative relief initiatives, go to our website, www.artsbr.org. Okay. As a musician, I'm really excited to see many of my fellow players and DJs who, without missing a beat, have taken to the internet to record and stream their performances. Who knew that studying art taught people the skill of creative thinking? They're finding sponsors for their shows, they're selling tickets, they're performing for tips, and many of them are offering up their talents for free. One entity doing the latter is the Baton Rouge Symphony Orchestra. Their home concert series is phenomenal. On various social media platforms, they're posting solo and duet classical music performances and getting thousands upon thousands of views. My personal favorite is Rachel and Nicholas Serraldo, a husband and wife duo playing flute and guitar, and halfway through the video, Rachel does a selection with her 10-year-old son, Luca, on piano. And after that, the dog joins in. That's right, y'all. I said the dog joins in and sings along while Rachel's playing the flute. So some phenomenal stuff. Joining us to talk about the home concert series and the upcoming season is the executive director of BRSO, Mr. Eric Marshall. Eric, welcome to AC23.
Thanks for having me. Now you're at your office. I am at my house, and I also have a 2-year-old and a small child. So if you hear some strange things in the background, don't be too alarmed.
I understand. Nobody understands like I do. So, you're originally from Pennsylvania. You've been out here for a little over a year, right?
Almost a year. It'll be a year, May 1.
Awesome. And wow, what a way to end your year in Louisiana, right?
It has been a year of change. Again, a new child about 5 weeks ago, moved from Texas. My wife got a new job, and now we're dealing with this. So that's been a year of growth, we'll say.
I hear you. Well, nobody can adapt like artists. People in the arts world, it's what we do. So, is your family good right now? When I say your family, I'm also talking about the members of the symphony. Is everybody healthy and good?
Yes. We've been in communication with our administrative team, obviously, and our musicians. Everyone is sheltering in place, doing their parts, creating art from home, and importantly, staying safe. So that's the goal throughout this whole thing.
Awesome. That's great news. So you were working in Austin before you came here for about 8-9 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, 9 years over there.
And you were known for finding creative programming to pull in younger audiences. Do you feel like this home concert series? I know this probably wasn't in the plan 2 months ago, right? but it seems like it might be accomplishing that.
Yeah, it's interesting. We had a couple of initiatives that we had planned to roll out right around this time that obviously got derailed. We were going to participate in Ebb and Flow, so we were going to be down there working with you guys on that. We were going to do a bar series. We were going to actually go into just a bunch of local bars and say, hey, here we are with a string quartet, and just kind of play popular music there. And thirdly, we had a grant through the decentralized arts funding through the Arts Council to go into schools and say, hey, let's go into these schools. A lot of EBR schools have no music education whatsoever. So they are stuck with literally no music throughout the year. So we said, hey, how can we help that? So we were going to bring musicians into those schools to then perform for the kids, at least to give them some exposure to the arts. And obviously that got derailed. So with that funding, our music director, Timothy Muffett, was like, hey, what if we brought in some chamber musicians and went on WRKF? Let's go to their studios, record these. We'll do like a weekly broadcast, Sunday nights, do those every Sunday night. We can broadcast on Facebook, YouTube, and on the air, and we'll just kind of get together and provide music that way. I said, well, hey, let me talk to Monica at the Arts Council, see what we can do. If we can, take those funds that are for this and use them for that. Met with Monica. She said, absolutely, that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
The next day, the governor said, hey, shelter in place. So we said, okay, well, that's out. So what can we do now? So went back to the drawing board, said, all right, we're fortunate to have musicians that are their significant other or their children or whoever they shelter in place with are also really, really talented musicians. Some of them are BRSO musicians, some of them are not. So we said, okay, what if we have them record their own stuff, figure out how to do that on their own, send it to us, and then we broadcast that. So again, went back to Monica, said, all right, Monica, here's the new idea. And she was great and said, yes, this is fantastic. Let's do that instead. So it's been amazing to kind of hear the variation of stuff that our musicians are coming out with. We had one of our cellists, her husband's a percussionist, and they did a pretty modern work for cello and flower pots.
Flower pots, I saw that.
One of our bass players does electronic music, so he did a composition of full electronic music. As you mentioned earlier, we had Rachel and her husband and their son and their dog perform. So we're really it's really a wide range of performances that we're getting, and I think it's great because we are connecting with people that we maybe wouldn't connect with normally. These things are doing really well, and we're getting out in the community in a different way. It's also highlighting our musicians in ways that they don't normally get highlighted. They normally play as a group of 60 or 70. So to see what they do individually, I think is really great. And importantly for us, it also just kind of reminds everyone that these musicians, while they are amazing, you kind of always see them at this distance. They're on stage and in their tux, and they kind of don't really feel like human beings at that point. You know, these are community members. These are part of the fabric of what makes Baton Rouge great, and they're here. And this is their way to kind of help support and kind of give some sort of access to the arts throughout this time.
Well, it's great. I think that it is, it's like you said, it's putting a face on the musicians. We always see them from so far away. You're just seeing this massive musicians. And to go into their homes and to hear them speak before they play, I think is it's just an extra added treat of content. Mm-hmm. Have your older fans been able to kind of move on to the internet and check these out? I know you have quite a few.
So yes, they're not all on social media. So we've actually been sending out weekly reminders to our entire email database. Because we post them on our website as well. So they're all curated on our website. So you can go to one place and kind of find them all. Yeah. So they've been able to take advantage of that. And we've been getting a lot of feedback via email from people that they really look forward to these new concerts that we do every day.
So what have been some of the challenges for getting these online performances? I know there probably have been a few.
It surprisingly hasn't been that hard. Our musicians have been really willing to participate in this project, which is great,
The musicians have to be the sound technicians, right? I mean, there's right, and the videographers.
Yes, the good news is technology has come so far along that everyone's smartphones, the actual sound quality you can get out of your smartphone now is pretty darn good. So most people just record this, set up their phone, hit the record button, send it on to us. I end up being the editor on the back end. So if there's any editing that has to be done, I'll do that. I've had Google Drive's been the biggest problem. For some reason, a lot of videos that get added to Google Drive, the audio will no longer sync up with the video.
Well, oh yeah, I saw a little of that on the flower pot cello duet.
Yeah, so I end up having to strip the audio out and then re-put it back in and try to line it back up. And I have no idea why that's happening. So
we'll have to talk to them about. We'll have to talk to Google about that.
Yeah, if anyone's a Google Drive expert out there that can tell me why when they're loaded to there they don't always sync up correctly, I would love. You can email me, eric@brso.org.
So before we talk about the upcoming season, I do have one last question about the home concert series. Are there any lessons you're learning from this series that you'll be able to apply that knowledge once we're all back out and in the streets and in the performance venues?
I think we're learning a lot of lessons throughout this whole process of from the administrative side of working everyone remotely and still being able to plan next season and keeping everyone on the same page, and what technologies out there that we can use together to make sure we're still moving forward together. From the board perspective of getting a board to work remotely and keeping everyone moving forward. I mean, we had to approve a budget during the middle of this crisis.
Wow.
We're filing for the PPP, which I'm sure everyone's been talking about. We got that done remotely during this. And working with musicians, I think it's been a lot that they've learned about promoting themselves. It's one thing that not all musicians innately know how to do is how to self-promote and how to get their word out there and how to be their kind of own brand. So I think they've learned a lot doing this and creating these videos. And I think they're really having a lot of fun. The feedback that I'm getting from the musicians is they really enjoy doing them. They love seeing the feedback that we're getting from the community on it. And so I think there's a lot that we can take away from this moving forward about how we connect with our audience and how we stay relevant to all of Baton Rouge.
Awesome. So your home venue, your permanent home venue is the River Center. And actually the construction field has been considered essential work. So I'm assuming they're still renovating you guys' space.
Last I heard, which was a week ago, no, they were not, because it's done through city work. They pretty much stopped at that time. Now that may have changed again since then. I'm a little nervous to ask.
Yeah,
they were always slated to be completed in January of 21. We had always planned on moving back in September of 21. Instead of trying to do this mid-season move, make sure that a few months to kind of make sure they were up and really ready to go. Yeah. And then September of 21 kind of moved back in there. So this whole next season, we were planning on being out of that hall anyway. So I think that timeline should still work for us. Being out of the hall definitely has its own challenges. We've been presenting a lot of our main orchestral series concerts at the First Baptist Church downtown. It is acoustically an amazing venue, and they've been really, really accommodating to have us there. It is not a concert hall. At the end of the day, you're sitting in pews and you're sitting in a church, so it's hard to deliver that kind of concert experience that people want to have when they go out. The one thing that does not lack there is the quality of what we put on that stage. The musicians still continue to deliver at a very, very exceptional rate.
Yeah, I had David Torrance was on the show last November, I think. And I think we were talking about the Nutcracker at the time. So you guys are definitely continuing to just give Baton Rouge the quality of orchestral work that we find in a lot of metropolitan cities. And so thank you guys for continuing to work and provide that for us as a city, because, these are, I think a symphony orchestra is one of the things that people will look at, as well as major museums and things like that, for, to validate a city's presence, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that struck me when I first got here, and I continue to tout since I've been here, is a lot of cities have symphony orchestras. Few cities of our size have a symphony orchestra to the quality of which we have. And that's due to a tremendous music director we've had for 20 years and amazing relationships with the local universities that we have. So our principal trumpet player, Brian Shaw, I mean, literally solos all over the world.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to play at the Baton Rouge Symphony. This is not a gig that he has to have. He does it because he likes doing it and he likes to be part of the city and he wants to, and that's his kind of way to participate in the city. And we're fortunate that he's just one example of all, if you look at all of our principal players across the orchestra, they're all, I mean, really, really world-class musicians that don't play with us for the pay because it's a part-time job and they're not making a lot of money. It's a labor of love for them, and we are fortunate that they do it. So anytime I meet someone that has not been to the orchestra, I'm like, you have to go check it out because I don't think you understand what you have here in the city and how fortunate Baton Rouge is to have a symphony of that caliber.
That is correct. As a kid, singing the orchestra was one of the first times where I really realized I wanted to be in the arts. I wanted to be a musician. I played trombone growing up. And then at some point I switched over. Oh yeah. Okay. And at some point I switched over to percussion and I've been playing percussion for many years. And so, I think the level of musicianship in Louisiana, I think across the board, we're a music city. We're not Nashville. We're not Austin, but I think Baton Rouge just has a lot of great musicians of many genres, as well as the greater Baton Rouge area and the state. So much talent here. So let's talk about the upcoming season really quickly. What you guys got in store for us?
So we've officially not launched, so I can talk in really vague terms to really tease this out there and talk about how awesome it's going to be. So this was the last season as Tim as our music director. So now we're going to guest conductors over the next 2 seasons, with Tim conducting 1 concert a year to kind of keep that continuity while we kind of figure out what our next music director is going to look like. Mm-hmm. While we're bringing these guest conductors in, you're going to see that we're going to look very different next year. We have a black conductor from Germany that's coming in. We have a black female conductor from Pennsylvania that's coming in. We have some young, some older. We have guest artists that are in their 20s coming in. So we're not going to look like the symphony orchestra that we've looked like for a while. The board and the artistic team has really made a conscious effort to try to find musicians that kind of represent more of the fabric of our city. Yeah. To try to kind of represent that with what we're offering on the stage. We're offering some works that are really pretty diverse. I'll mention one. There's a piece called Motor City Dance Mix that was commissioned for the opening of the hall in Detroit when they reopened their new hall up there. And it's this amazing piece that mixes essentially dance music, contemporary dance music with an orchestra. So what you're going to hear is very different, and you will see 6 different conductors conducting the orchestra next year instead of just 1 or 2. So we're excited about that. We've also offered an additional chamber concert next year. So our chamber series is going from 3 concerts to 4 concerts. We'll still have all of our holiday things. You'll still see, that's when you'll see David Torrance next year again. He'll be doing Home for the Holidays, our holiday brass concerts. We'll be performing with the Nutcracker again with the ballet. So you're going to still see all those staple things that we've been doing for years. You're just going to see a lot of different faces with the orchestra. And we're really excited to kind of have the orchestra work with different conductors. It's something they haven't gotten to do a lot over the years, and something that the musicians really enjoy doing. It's great to work with such a talented person like Tim, but it's also great to see the influence that a different artistic leadership will have on that ensemble. So I think it'll be interesting for the public to hear what the orchestra sounds like, at the first concert compared to the second concert, not only because it's different music, but there's a different person at the podium. So I think that'll be a really interesting musical experience for the community next year.
And that person at the podium is not just waving a baton, right? There's
I hope not.
I think to the general public, right? We just see someone waving their arms, and we don't really have an idea of like what it means to be a conductor and how and what you're doing as a leader. And so I think seeing a different conductor and hearing the orchestra under a different conductor, under different leadership, we get to actually see the effect new leadership or different leadership and different styles. I think it's really a matter of style, right?
Yeah.
How that affects the sound of the orchestra.
It is amazing, and if you're a really big music nerd, I recommend going on YouTube and finding the same piece conducted by 4 different conductors, and just listen to the difference that you hear. I mean, because it's amazing the difference of the same exact notes played essentially the same way with the same tempos, sound wildly different.
Yeah. Well, as I read about some of the things that you've done, I read about the Bach and Beats show in Austin. So not only did I grow up playing trombone in high school, I did a little DJing. So I just want to put that out there that, if you're looking for somebody, if you want to do something like that, you could, give me a holler, and I'll definitely, send my fee over to the to your people in payroll to see if we can make something happen. But
we could talk about the Arts Council underwriting something like that.
There you go. Yeah. The Arts Council to pay for it. So
exactly.
In all seriousness, I haven't DJed in years. I wouldn't even know where to start. But I do want to thank you for exposing a younger audience. I think, I've said it on the show a million times, with the arts, it is all about exposure. And I think outside of the arts, exposing young people to new experiences just broadens them in a way that traditional education does not. And so I think exposure is so big. And so thank you all. And thank you, Eric, for pushing that level of exposure to a younger audience. I think we're just going to see more and more amazing things come out of it. Thank you for joining me today, letting me into your home. And I didn't hear your kids one time, so you're going to have to let me know your secret, because I know mine are running. My daughter's an adult, and she's taking care of the 2 babies, and I know they're driving her crazy right about now. So you're doing something right, my friend.
They're unfortunately, they're probably just in a YouTube coma in a different room, if I had to guess.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Whatever it takes. Survive in advance.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today, Eric.
No, thank you very much for having me. And, Symphony, we always love everything the Arts Council does and the support we get from them. So anytime we can always help out, we're happy to do it.
Well, thank you so much. For everybody listening, don't forget to go check out the Hearts from Home BR campaign. Check us out on our website. And also, you can check out AC23 on iTunes podcasts and subscribe and give us lots of stars, because you're not doing anything else with your life. Cool. Thank you so much. Eric, thank you. And everybody else, I'll catch y'all at the show. Peace.